In most every forest on the planet, we can find woodpeckers forging a living. They also enjoy living around us in our neighborhoods and even at our backyard feeders, bringing us much joy.
Hello, recently I had a request from one of my contributors to the live stream and my channel to do a film on woodpeckers. And I thought that was kind of odd request. I thought, well, woodpeckers are kind of interesting in that, but it wasn't really until I started doing the research that I found really there is a lot to woodpeckers, and her request was not so out of bounds. Thank you, Catherine Seaton, for your request, and she gave me about 3 pages of ideas too that she'd like to see. So, but I was able to, in doing my research, leverage some photos from my friend David Frings from David Frings Wildlife Photography, and Janet Olson, one of our moderators who's in Northern Illinois. David Frings is local here in Birmingham. And Dr. Larry Whitmer. I found a video of his on YouTube from Whitmer Labs. He's a professor and a doctor up at Ohio State University who said he would allow me to use some of his material, which I found fascinating. But just wanted to introduce the video here, and I hope you guys enjoy it. It's already a little longer than I anticipated because I didn't think there was that much, to talk about with woodpeckers. But boy, I was wrong. And I hope you enjoy this. God bless you. Thank you.
This is a female yellow-bellied sapsucker. Note the large size, the red crown, and off-white black coloring on its back. Note how the tail acts as a means of giving this bird better leverage while it feeds. This is a male downy woodpecker. Note the smaller size in relation to the yellow-bellied sapsucker. Note the black and white coloring. The male downy woodpecker has a red patch on the back of his head. The female downy woodpecker, with the same coloring, lacks the red patch on the back of her head. Note the yellow belly on this yellow-bellied sapsucker. Woodpeckers have a different foot configuration than other birds. The toes form an X pattern with 2 in the front and 2 in the back. This is known as a zygodactyl foot shape. This shape is needed for the woodpecker to have the grip strength to grip onto the side of trees. Other species of birds have 3 toes in the front and only 1 toe in the back. Note how a woodpecker's tail helps keep it anchored on the tree. A woodpecker's tail acts as a third point of contact, along with the 2 short, strong legs, provide it a good platform to drill trees for food or for excavating a tree for nest building. Woodpeckers deliver an estimated 10,000 to 12,000 drilling blows on trees per day, with speeds up to 15 miles per hour and up to 20 pecks per second when pursuing their prey. Most woodpeckers have feather hair covering their nostrils to prevent wood particles from being inhaled. This is a male red-bellied woodpecker. The male has a full red hood, while the female has only a partial hood. The red on his belly is faint. Woodpeckers' tongues include some of these unique characteristics. First, the tongue is long, up to 30% of the bird's total body length. Secondly, the tongue is barbed and sticky and can curve around to seize prey in holes and under bark. Thirdly, The tongue of the red-bellied woodpecker is up to 3 times the length of its bill. Fourthly, the tongue wraps around the skull of the bird. Fifthly, with a spongy skull, the tongue acts as an additional cushion. Sixthly, woodpeckers also have extra muscles in the skull that help stabilize the brain like a protective helmet as protection when it is drumming.
Flickers possess very long tongues, which they use to catch ants in their nests underground. Their sticky saliva acts just like the glue on a fly trap. This yellow-shafted northern flicker is pulling debris from a nest.
Here are 2 video clips from Dr. Larry Whitmer, courtesy of Whitmer Labs at Ohio State University. Note the action of the tongue on the top of the skull as the tongue extends beyond the length of the bill. It's so unique how the tongue consists of 2 parts on top of the skull. Woodpeckers and some other species have unique eye features, including a translucent third eyelid called a nictitating membrane. This membrane acts like a pair of goggles, protecting the eyes when the woodpecker is excavating, hunting for food, gathering materials for a nest, or even feeding its young. This third eyelid also serves to lubricate the eye, and when activated, gives the eye a somewhat opaque-looking eye, like they have cataracts. Besides the vocalizations of woodpeckers, drumming, pecking on resonant surfaces, is another form of communication used by woodpeckers.
Hey guys, I don't know if you guys heard that drumming, but that's the largest, that sounded like a monster prehistoric type of drumming of a pileated woodpecker. There's a couple of them, it sounds like they're competing here in the forest, but he got a hold of something that sounded like a big drum when he was hitting.
Drumming is most commonly done in the spring to attract a mate or to mark territory by alerting the competition. Woodpeckers usually excavate a hole as a nest in a tree that has soft or rotting wood. The nests are made for 1 season and usually take about a month to build. The yellow-bellied sapsucker has a shorter brush-like tongue that it uses to extract sap, sipping it rather than sucking it. They drill holes about 1/2 inch apart in a horizontal pattern, which they revisit often to feed on sap. When the sap dries up, they drill another line of holes above the previous row. They do this over and over again, creating an easily recognizable pattern on the trees they feed from. Woodpeckers generally stay in the same area year-round. However, the yellow-bellied sapsucker migrates farther than any other North American woodpecker. This particular woodpecker species nests from the Appalachians to Alaska. However, in the winter, these birds migrate into the southeastern United States and Mexico. While I was lucky this year to have this particular bird eat suet at my feeder station, yellow-bellied sapsuckers generally prefer to sip sap from maple, elms, cherry, birch, aspen, and pine trees. This is a nice comparison between a male red-bellied woodpecker, located on the upper part of the log, and a female downy woodpecker, located on the lower part of the log. Note the size differential. This is a great comparison of a juvenile hairy woodpecker on the left and a mature male red-bellied woodpecker on the right. Unlike the similar-looking downy woodpecker, the hairy woodpecker is similar-sized in comparison to the red-bellied woodpecker, and its beak is longer in relation to the size of its head.
This is a great comparison between 2 similar-looking birds, the hairy woodpecker on the left and the downy woodpecker on the right. These 2 birds are often mistaken for one another when there is no other birds around for size comparisons. Note the larger size of the hairy and longer beak in relation to head size.
This is a juvenile downy woodpecker, evidenced by the red patch on top of its head.
This is a juvenile hairy woodpecker, also identified as a juvenile by the red patch on top of its head.